So, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, December 20th, 2023, and this is the JupyterLab community call. We have 8 participants on the call. We are going to at least attempt to use JupyterLab with RTC on 4.10 beta for our agenda this time around. So if you haven't already, please add topics to the agenda. And please sign in as well. So we've only got a couple topics on the agenda so far, but the first is, should we have a meeting next week? Next week is December 27th, which is between that awkward time between Christmas and New Year's. We're already at a pretty light turnout this week, so I think it's probably best that we skip next week. What do other folks think? I see some thumbs up. I don't see anybody being very passionate about, yes, we should have a meeting on the 27th. So, okay. Well, I can record in the notes then. Consensus was not to have a meeting on 12/27. Okay. Well, in that case, we will see you all again on January 3rd in the new year. So next up on the agenda is Mike with a very good news announcement.
Yes, JupyterLab 4.1 beta 0 has been released just half an hour ago, and I hear from the Gitter that a Conda Forge version is also on the way. You can test that on PyPy using pp install and conda install from the beta channel. There are links in the agenda, and there is a link to migration guide for extension authors. There's the documentation website has not yet updated with a latest changelog, but I guess that's coming. And we will probably draft some notes on the exciting new features to help testers with highlighting what to check out and maybe publish that on our community forum as an informal invitation to test. I don't know whether we want to draft a blog post. That might be kind of complicated because I'm not sure whether anyone will be available to review that right now. I don't know. What you folks think? Or should we wait to beta 1 with spreading the word the broader community?
I guess doing communication after the Christmas and New Eve will be more received than right now.
Yeah, now is probably one of the in politics, it's called a news dump when you release something on Friday afternoon that you don't really want people to notice. And releasing something at the very end of the year is very unlikely to get noticed. So I think it's probably best for the sake of exposure. We could make an announcement on Discourse now, but we should be prepared to make the same announcement in a couple of weeks' time after the new year when a lot of people have returned from breaks.
All right. Thank you. There is still a few pull requests left for 4.10, and there are issues, some of which are tagged as release blockers, and I see that someone is proposing to review them.
Yeah, that was me. I just took a look, and they have there are 3 items that are tagged with release blocker in the GitHub issues list. So before we have a release candidate, we need to either fix those, mitigate those, or consider them no longer release blockers.
I also have some questions about one of the pull requests, so maybe we can go through the release blockers first and then go to the pull requests. Also answering a question from the chat, yes, there is LSP and the JupyterLab LSP extension installed on this binder that we are using right now as well. So that it's not a clean installation of only JupyterLab. There are some additional extensions, some of which are coming from binder, some of which are just because the configuration that I had at hand included them.
Okay. I see some of this is still going on in the chat, although the chat is not actually recorded. Well, I also see Mike suggesting that we screen share for triage. Before we do that, does anybody else want to have any discussions on the record, or should we move to triage? And should we do the triage on the record?
No point for me.
Okay.
Maybe let me bring up one point, one exciting piece of news about JupyterLab Desktop. That after quite a while, I believe that we received or purchased a sign-in certificate for Windows. I don't know what is the status on passing this around and integrating that. I guess Mehmet, who's on the call, can elaborate either during the recorded session or afterwards. But it's like a very good news that we finally can start working on this, and probably it will, hopefully, it will be available and will make installation on Windows easier, and we should then consider spreading the news about this and maybe linking the installer on jupyter.org.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Mike. So we have an email conversation going on with the non-focus. So they bought the certificate, but they haven't shared with me. I asked them to share the certificates with me so I can integrate to the JupyterLab desktop. So I'm waiting on that. Once I have the certificates, I will start the integration. And this having this code signing for Windows will bring two enhancements. One is gonna be when you download the executables for the installer. Currently, you are seeing a warning message on Windows that this might be a malicious software. Are you sure to install and such? They will go away. And other thing is going to be that when Windows installer is code signed, we will be able to have auto updates for Windows as well. So currently we have the auto updates only for Mac, and code signed installer will also enable auto updates for Windows. So that's very exciting.
That is really good. That's something that we've heard from users about, like as bug reports. So it's good that You know, I've seen that before. It seems like Apple is doing something similar in that it checks applications that you run. Like it sends some kind of signature to Apple for verification, and unsigned applications sometimes trigger a lot of false positives, which, you know, in some organizations, it'll just block everything that is not
Mm.
approved out of an abundance of concern.
Yep. On macOS, we are already code signing and
Yep.
notarizing the application, so no issues there. Next is Windows.
Nice.
Okay, I will keep following with non-focus and executive council to coordinate on that. And yeah, it might be in the new year because we are near Christmas now, but hopefully very, very soon.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, I was trying to see, I think we do have yeah, there is an issue, code signing, issue 202, opened over 2 years ago about that. So probably good to finally close that one out.
Yeah. Purchasing of the certificate took really long time, more than a year, unfortunately.
Okay.
And yeah, now we have it. Hopefully integration will be smooth.
Okay. I actually found a second issue that like Windows Defender was putting up warnings when people downloaded it. Again, this is from a couple years ago, so I don't know if this is still a problem, but for
It's
someone who uses Windows might want to check that out. Our app is
Yeah,
not, yeah, this is probably the same root cause.
same.
we will get to closing these issues once we release a version which includes the certificates. We are not
Sweet.
yet there.
That's great news. I'm really glad that we got that finally addressed. All right. Any other topics for the agenda today? Well, if not, I can share my screen and we can go through the triage for the release blockers for 410. Is that what folks would like to do next? Okay. I can't really hear people's thumbs up normally. So I'm just gonna, I see one thumbs up there. Okay. Can folks see the shared screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna
We
pop
should
up.
detect for a sound for thumbs up then.
Yeah, thumbs. I mean, there is a sound for thumbs up. It's just saying the word yes. But it's okay. I'm surprised that Zoom doesn't have an option to just make a little ding noise and people give a thumbs up. There probably is an option. I'm not going to mess with that on a live recorded call. Let's take a look at the three release blockers. So we got 15509, inconsistent toolbar button positions when rendered in Notebook. The debugger button is jumping around among different notebooks in the toolbar, especially after refreshing. Let me see if I can make this a little bit larger so you can see it better. So that's where the debugger button is on the right. And then when they switch to a different tab and then reload, it's still there.
So just
And
to
then, yeah, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you. This issue has been there in 3.6 and earlier. What we suggested in the conversation on the issue is to upgrade to the pre-release, which they did, and this issue has been solved. But another issue with the positioning of toolbar buttons has appeared, which was we fixed one thing with the buttons and broke another one. And if you could scroll down to the next comment where there is a longer animation, basically leads to either the state as on the screenshot above, where they are switched around, but now it affects all items on the toolbar, or even in some cases it makes them invisible. Like all the buttons go into the collapser.
Okay, so this is the second animation you're talking about?
I believe so. I think so. And the problem is that it only happens on load once in a very many times. Like it's not super reproducible, but when it happens, it keeps happening. So there is some condition which triggers this.
I haven't, well, I haven't been running 4.10 beta, although I sometimes run tip of main. I haven't seen this personally, but this animation suggests it happens noticeably often, but I don't know what underlying cause is causing it to appear. I'm gonna switch back. Let's see, okay, so there's still the most recent comment was by Nicolas Brichet. Indeed, I've managed to reproduce these behaviors after a lot of refresh. So is this something that we should keep as a release blocker for 4.10?
Maybe we don't have if that only happens sporadically. Like I'm trying to refresh our nodes with a notebook open, and after 6 refreshes, it's still not there. I don't know if anyone on the call tried that as well. Maybe it's not as severe, and maybe there is like a very specific set of circumstances that we need to discover, and if there are more folks commenting and giving input, maybe we can fix that in a follow-up.
I'm wondering if it's not linked to the issue that Afshin have seen when adding the button to display the scroll bar, because he added an additional layer of capturing the command change to be able to tune the button stuff, because he was not having the proper result with the default use signal. Maybe it's something like that that's happening with the disable state not being re-rendered correctly.
I don't think Darian is even on this call.
No, it's not.
Yeah, okay.
Would these changes kind of fix all buttons or only the button that was added? Because that's, if we are talking about changes to toolbar TSX file to the React component.
I didn't have time to look at why the use signal was not working properly in the Afshin case.
Yeah, so is the implication that maybe we do not see that anymore because merging this pull request fixed that, or is that rather unlikely, you would say?
I would say it's unlikely. I would say that the specific change for the new button introduced by Afshin in that PR for displaying or not the scroll bar is maybe the same symptom that make the issue for the debugger. But because the change of Afshin are just targeting his own button, if I recall correctly, I think they will be. Oh no, there is changing. He's changing the toolbar component fully. So maybe it's worth trying again if it was not in the version the user has used for the latest Timo. Well, of course not, because you just released, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we can ask them to try to repro on beta 0.
Okay, I
That's,
can leave a
but
comment
it
of
may
it.
be more complex than that. because the debugger is a very complex logic for changing the status of the button.
Okay. I can add a quick comment about that, but it seems like we're keeping that otherwise. 15.465. Navigating many cells is slow or crashes the browser. It seems to have regressed. Performance has regressed in pre-releases. This is something that's not loading properly on my machine, because I think this should be an animation and it's not. Oh, wait, maybe?
It's a bit long, so it might be just
Oh, okay.
loading up frame by frame.
Let me try zooming out
But
so we
if
can see.
anyone using JupyterLab right now wants to try that, you can open the untitled notebook and it should have many empty cells, and just try to hold arrow down, arrow up
Mhm.
in the command node, and basically see if your browser stays responsive or if it crashes after. Like the problem is that it only crashes after like 2 minutes of doing so. I had a crash under normal circumstances, like scrolling for a longer notebook. Maybe it wasn't a minute, but it might not be a blocker, but then a browser crash is something serious.
Okay. Well, it looks like Eric Gentry and Afshin are assigned to this bug, although I haven't seen any update from them, and I don't think either of them are on the call right now. Timeout option is strongly. So I'm here. I'm seeing if this is still an issue, we should probably keep this on our as a release blocker, at least for now. Any other discussion, commentary about this? You see me looking off to the side, it's because the chat is off to the side for me. Okay. Let's move on to 15.456, which is updating fast stack to non-deprecated packages. So we should not release a new version with new dependencies that are already outdated. Currently, Frederick is an assignee for this. Frederick, are you working on this one?
Yeah, I don't have enough time, but I'm working on it. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't link it back, but I have a draft PR.
Oh, nice.
I can open. I can add
Yeah,
it at
that was me just complaining about messages that extension authors are going to see. And anybody that runs JupyterLab build, I mean, it's probably not breaking anything. I did not actually look into, because it's not the consistent Git history of what has changed to the new names of everything, but they did name everything differently.
They
So
basically dropped that package. They stopped
right.
maintaining it, and so it's no more on the main branch.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, it's just, but even like functionally at the bottom of it, it should have the same components, right? That's the whole freaking idea of web components, is that they're stable. But I didn't take the time to actually look into whether it's really, like, other downstreams are already using it in other places. So if it goes into 4.1, we're stuck with that deprecated one for the duration. Because if you start, like, anybody that was around for the icon debacle, you can't change those things without breaking a lot of people's stuff. Like when you change buttons and you change the stuff that everybody needs to use, because otherwise it doesn't work with the command system or it doesn't work with themes or whatever. So either we stick with that throughout the whole 4.1 cycle and then immediately change it again on 4.2, or we figure it out now. I don't have a good answer.
Just to clarify, that package doesn't bring any web component with an enforced name. And so basically, they are all reprefixed within the Jupyter toolkit to be Jupyter branded. And so they are hidden basically. So it's fine to use them. It's a dev dependency. It's annoying to see that warning, but the mechanism that they've put in place is like, if they call something like a button, you can choose the prefix you use to make it like my button, my dash button. And it's what's done in the Jupyter toolkit.
So I guess there's an encapsulation on the renaming level. The question is whether this also goes deeper into the logic side of things and arguments which are taken, and whether there will be any breaking changes here.
It won't be any breaking changes.
Okay, but I think we don't have to discuss this further, because I guess you're working on that, and
yeah, I will do the few time I get. I will do it. I will do that to try to get it for the RC.
Okay, that would be great. If you need help, just tag me on the pull request.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Any other topics that folks would like to discuss on the record? Well, hearing none, I can stop the recording. Thank you all for coming, and we will see you in the new year.